Hello everyone, my name's Skylar Reap. This is my CSEI 495 IS Capstone Cycle 2 project for Coastal Carolina spring semester of 2019. So for this project I decided I would build something that used augmented reality, specifically Apple's AR QuickLook feature that supports augmented reality from web browsers. Now, Apple's had augmented reality for iOS devices in the form of native apps for a long time. Android has similar applications, but web augmented reality applications are fairly limited. There are a couple projects out there that try to put it in the browser somewhat successfully, but definitely not as cleanly and as easily as AR QuickLook with Apple devices. And Android is really lacking in support for what augmented reality options are out there. You have to download experimental browsers, and it's a whole big process. So this is definitely the better option, especially for me being in the Apple ecosystem. And I decided to build an AR education app. So as soon as we load it up, you can see that it gives you a green success message. It uses jQuery to check to see if your device is AR compatible. I'm filming this video in landscape mode so that it looks better, but you'll see me switch back and forth to portrait a couple times to give you an example of the Bootstrap grid system and also to show you that it is in fact built for individual devices to look correct. For instance, this one is actually supposed to be viewed portrait like this, and you'll have a better home screen layout. We're viewing it in an iPad aspect ratio right now, which is why it looks a little funky. But if we scroll down to the bottom here, there's an expanding button that gives you some additional tech specs. So this will work on Android devices and desktop devices, but you won't have the AR QuickLook function. So you'll be able to download the image and view the thumbnails and download the 3D file, and you could pull it up in Blender or another 3D image program, but the AR QuickLook is limited to Apple devices. So we'll go up here to the Bootstrap menu system, and this is just a modified Bootstrap menu. Each of these libraries has a link to the library itself, as well as each individual model within the library. So these are all the models in each library. And we'll start out going to the biology library. So you can see this is the biology page. Just to give you an example of the Bootstrap grid system, we'll go into portrait mode real quick, and you can see it goes over to a single column. But we'll do an example of the augmented reality now, and we'll start with the nucleus. So at first it's going to bring up the object viewer. This supports multi-touch so that you can scale it up or down and move around. And then you can also send these USDZ files now via messages and mail in the Apple ecosystem, and people who you send it to will be able to pull it up in AR QuickLook as well. But if we click the augmented reality button and let it scan our environment, it'll place the model. And we can move it around with multi-touch and scale it up and down. It supports tracking pretty well. You can leave the frame and go back in, especially if it's out of focus, it'll help refocus. But we'll scale it up some. You can see the shadows built in, and you can go all the way around the model. And maybe you saw something really important for your biology class that you wanted to make sure you studied later. You could even jump in here and take a photograph. So that's a nucleus in augmented reality. These icons in the top right of each thumbnail only show up if you visit the site on a supported browser, and that's to show you the AR QuickLook. You have to click that icon for it to pop up like that. And we'll do one more AR example just to show off the capabilities, and then we'll finish this off in the desktop. But maybe you're a Guardians of the Galaxy fan like me, and you want to see what Rocket looks like on your kitchen table. You could just place him in and take a cool picture. So that's how the application works when it's fully supported, and we'll jump back over to the desktop to finish this. Welcome back, everyone. I just wanted to finish this up in the desktop. I wanted to be able to show you what it looks like when you visit the website with an incompatible browser. You get this red error message instead of the green success message that you saw on the iPhone XS Max that I was testing that on. And yeah, it's still a Bootstrap alert. You can just exit out of it, and it's still running on the same jQuery. All the functionality still works, as well as the responsive aspects of it. But I wanted to go through and show you the individual libraries. This is the responsive grid system from Bootstrap at work. But you can see I've got the fun library here, space library with Oppo, and the International Space Station is a very cool model. The hardware library. This was really why I built the application, because I'm in a computer hardware class. I don't have a desktop computer that I can take apart at home. So I wanted to be able to put a motherboard on my desk and look at all the individual pieces of it. And this allows me to do that. Then the biology library that you've already seen the nucleus in. And the anatomy library. This is the only one that only has 3 models. Now, one of the really exciting things about this application is that it sounds like it's going to be cross-platform pretty soon. Google has openly said that there's nothing stopping them from supporting the USDZ file format natively, so it sounds like it's on its way. The USDZ file format is actually a Pixar file for 3D models that they developed with Apple, and then Apple extended support across updated Safari devices. So that's how we got here. I wanted to show off real quick just how little code it takes to make these augmented reality experiences happen. If we jump down here into one of the HTML documents, you can see that this is all that's making the motherboard model work in augmented reality. There's 3 lines of HTML, and Safari automatically recognizes it and throws on the thumbnail and enables that QuickLook function. So there's still quite a bit of code here to be able to build all these libraries, but the actual augmented reality is very easy. I also wanted to show you, this is about as in-depth as the documentation gets. If you go to the Apple development website, you can pull up the WWDC 2018 video where they talk about how to integrate apps and content with AR QuickLook. And it's pretty thorough, considering it is pretty easy to implement. There's very little documentation on this feature. So you can see we've also got this demo gallery in the Apple developer website that you can check things out with. And then if you go to WebKit, you can find this 1-page blurb on USDZ file formats and how they work with iOS 12 and Safari. I wasn't going to include this, but it's the only place where you can find this little bit about feature detection, which is really critical to be able to give you that alert at the beginning that pops up and lets you know if it's going to be supported on your browser. I think I mentioned it in the mobile video, but this will still work on Android and desktop devices. It's just it only shows you the images without the QuickLook icon to be able to bring it up in augmented reality. So that's my augmented reality education application. I hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to your critiques.